Escape from Tarkov has been changing within the last couple of weeks with a ton of updates to various different problems that the community has been having. And of course, now that I've managed to get myself all the way to Lightkeeper with some of the changes that came with regards to his questline not working on PVE, I've wanted to make this video, and so today we're going to be talking about some of the best changes and some of the changes that are probably going to be coming in future updates. And with the launch of the Tarkov.community page, where you can submit almost like tickets that devs will actually react to and go through, which we'll take a look at in a second, is also really making some significant changes. And for example, someone submitted about being able to pop paracords in your special slot, and that was just pretty much added very quickly after the suggestion was made. And now that we have kind of gone into that little bit of an intro to it, let's jump over to the actual text itself and what people have been submitting alongside some of the other things that maybe you want to submit. All of the links to the website will be down in the description if you have any suggestions for the game. And of course, let me know what your current thoughts are on Escape from Tarkov, whether you play PvP, PvE, whatever you're playing. Let me know what you would like to see or what you would change, or some things that you've really not liked over the past couple of kind of months or so as we've been moving forward towards the eventual release of Tarkov 1.0. So when you launch up the Tarkov.community website, there is a ton, and I mean an absolute ton, of stuff on here that has been submitted by the community. When you actually launch it, this will be the page that you see when you jump onto the Tarkov.community. You can see there is a ton of things that people have requested and stuff like that. And you can see that there is people submitting a thing about warning a quest item is in your inventory, and you can see that there has been 1,137 votes. Now the votes are essentially upvotes or downvotes. So if you click upvote, you have to sign in using your Discord account, which is fine, and so you can do that. And you can downvote it if you disagree with it. And so this one has got 1,137 total votes. That includes, I believe, the downvote. So this brings the votes down. And so you can see what the community in general are thinking about certain topics in the game. And so you can see over here, implement, buy all needed in hideout crafts is something. You've got a Kappa challenge live stream and various different things that people have submitted. Now you can see here that we have got one, add a container in stash and hideout for keys. This was submitted by a player 9 days ago, Detrix here. And add a container for keys like a massive key ring or a key closet in the hideout, which you can see. And then Sergey has actually come out, and a senior game designer at BSG tweeted a teaser image of a case with a key on it. The timeline for this is yet to be confirmed, but seems to be planned. So you can see that they've got the started tag on this. And so a key case is going to be coming into the game, which is going to solve quite a few of the issues with some of the key managements and stuff like that. Now, hopefully this key case is actually going to be like a 100 slot key case where you can store a ton of keys, as opposed to like a current one, making actually useful, as opposed to, you know, just using your standard keychains and stuff like that we already have in the game. Of course, that would be something that we'll see later on in the future. But if we go back, you have a ton of filters as well. So we have got the completed, which is things that have been implemented into the game based on the suggestions from people. So this is a big one for PvE, for example. PvE PMC weapon durability should not be the same durability as scav weapons. And so you can see a response from YOWA, which is the lead of game design, saying that PvE PMC weapon durability 80% to 100% in start. We did this a couple of days ago. We will write more in the next patch. Thanks for the feedback. So essentially, we are now seeing some of the PvE PMCs having weapon durabilities above the standard scav weapon, so 80 to 100%, which is amazing. You can now actually get decent weapons off of PMCs, which is amazing. And this was uploaded on the 13th of March, so it's completely actually in the game right now. So when you jump into the game, this will be a thing, and that is based off of a suggestion by someone in the community. And this is not just a simple, like maybe they only do one of these. These are all of the suggestions added by people, which gives you essentially all of the things that have been done based on suggestions. Like, for example, paracord in special slot. Paracord as flares should be mounted in special slots. So paracords are now able to be placed in the special slot on the 14th of March. This is an amazing update, and hence why we can now put them in there. It's something that maybe is not necessarily a massive issue with the game, but it's more so something that is going to be convenient and convenient for the player. So it's like a player experience thing that is being added in. And so once again, added a downvote option to the Tarkov community. So the current way it's set up only shows how many people want a feature / change. If you could add an option for people to downvote posts, it will paint a clearer picture on the ratio of people who want a change. Downvotes are now available, and so that was on the 10th of March, and these updates are really quick. So 8 days ago, so that would have been the 8th, 2 days later they actually added downvotes, and so and a day after that it was already planned. So you can see how quickly they're moving with some of the changes, and so there's lots of things on here that have been added into the game, and it's probably only gonna keep getting more and more as people start to, you know, vote on things. And you can see there is a ton of started things as well that they're working on, like the container and stash and hideout 4 keys, buff the overall loot pool in raids, which is available for EFT. You can see they all have tags. So for example, EFT, hideout, stash / game UI. So you can put on your own tag as to what your thing is with the suggestion tag to the devs. So buffing the overall loot pool in raid, most of the big crates are empty, whether they are technical or medical or ration crates doesn't matter, as well as loot behind lock rooms. Shoreline is basically empty. Sanitar tape is worthless and just not fun. So if we click on it, you're going to see the loot pools have been increased on all maps, and that was available on March 14th. So the loot pool have been increased on all of the maps. And so you can see 100% been trying to find a LEDX for quests and hideouts on Shoreline, Woods, Interchange and Labs, but it seems impossible to find. So that is the general consensus of players with 557 upvotes. And so you're seeing what the current suggestions are: interchange loot buff, make loose loot great again, complete loot / economy, rebalance, replace Sawmill with another location from EFT. Hardly anyone plays Sawmill in Arena, so you can see some of these are the Arena suggestions, and you can see fog and weather. Fog and weather, if we click on this is going to be a big thing. Fog in game can currently roll in extremely fast and is unbearable annoying when attempting to do anything that requires to get kills at a distance. I will be sniping for shooter born, and the second I get eyes on someone, the fog rolls in and kills any chance I had of seeing them. I know we just had a poll on weather, but I feel the focus was really lacking on the true issues with the current weather system. Weather in Tarkov changes on a dime every 5 minutes. I mean, the map is clear skies to massive storms, or you can't see 5 feet in front of you. I know real life fog has an impact, but for gameplay's sake, it is extremely frustrating. And so there is an active in-game survey regarding weather conditions. So that was put in to the in-game survey. And so we may or may not see some changes to the weather system as it currently stands, with increased dynamic weather. So you might actually start the raid with foggy overcast, so it's likely that there may be rain or something coming into the map, as opposed to it just suddenly changing from blue skies to just raining and that sort of stuff. So more predictable weather would be great, and so you can make a strategy as to what you're going to be doing in that raid, rather than jumping in and, you know, being having no idea as to what's coming. And so this website, really good step in the right direction towards transparency between what the devs are working on and also what the players actually want. It's a good representation of what players are actually wanting to come into the game. The upvote system definitely in there. So remove the quick grenade throw for AI. This is something I would definitely like to see, because this thing, they don't pull them out and prime them, they just throw them immediately, which is definitely an issue, and a lot of people getting taken out by the AI, just lobbing nades that land directly at your feet because of how accurate the AI's grenade throws are. Like the warning about a quested item in your inventory, that would be amazing. And it's all of these sorts of things that are basically things that players find annoying, and hopefully BSG kind of latch onto these and help to alleviate some of those problems. Not to say that, you know, they're going to make things very easy for players or make it super easy for people to jump in and find tons of loot, for example, as they want to keep the whole, I guess, the pool of loot and stuff like that to a consistent level and make Tarkov not just a money farming simulator, and try and add some risk into the game as opposed to just making it mega easy for everyone to get everything in the game, because that's what makes Tarkov what it is. It's not supposed to be super easy and stuff like that. But some of the suggestions that just improve the experience of the game I think is very valuable, like for example adding cases back to marked rooms and improve marked room loot. So one thing that I had on this topic was, for example, you're seeing lots of prices of items going skyrocketing with regards to marked rooms. So even the keys themselves are worth like a ludicrous amount of money right now. Like where you're spending on PVE, for example, like 25 million rubles to pick up a dorm's marked room key. And in reality, most of the time, if you open it normally, you are not making anywhere near 2.5 million every time you open the door. Like, it's just not possible. Even if you were to use 9 out of 10 uses and sell the 1 out of 10 use key card, which is the most optimal way of doing it, because the 1 out of 10 is used for quests that people buy for like 6 million rubles or something like that, and so you're spending less per opening by doing that. Even with that, you are still not making consistent enough money enough to open the door and make money. Even with extracting with everything in the room and not getting taken out, you're still losing money, and it's because of the PVE Alt F4 glitch that's in the game, as well as the fact that it's required for quests as well, so that increases how valuable it is. And the way that I think would be really good is having a super rare item that's in those marked rooms that basically is going to guarantee you a ton of money. So in the long term of opening up marked rooms, maybe there's a money case in there that's stacked full of money. So the money case has 1 million rubles in every slot, and that's available, like it's a chance of like 1 in 100. So over a long period of time, you are going to make your money back guaranteed, provided you open the marked room enough. And so that would stop all of these cheaters that are going in and just like vacuuming stuff out of the marked rooms. I think that's probably the main issue with, or why they didn't have cases and stuff like this in the marked rooms to begin with. Because cheaters were literally just going in, vacuuming all of the stuff out. People were opening the door to find nothing in the marked room. But if you're making your game to that point, like where you're not doing things because cheaters are going to ruin it, that's probably not a way to go anyway, because cheaters are going to ruin the game anyway, regardless of whether or not that there's actual loot in the room. It just might make it more annoying, but it's still something that you should just do. And if you add in something that's more rare and long-term horizon, cheaters are not going to actually go in and, you know, focus on trying to get a super rare drop. They're just going in anyway as consistent money. So if it's not as consistent, then they're probably going to go and do something else anyway, because they're all about efficiency. It might not be efficient to open 100 marked rooms on average to get some money back on the key that they're going to buy, or not even buy, because they can just vacuum it straight out. But I think for the average player, this would be a really, really nice thing, especially for PVE, for example, where you doesn't really matter if people are cheating because it's just you in your raid. And if you're cheating, then you're cheating anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So that would be my suggestion, especially for PvE, in terms of balancing marked rooms and making it a little bit better for people to open, in my opinion. But that's just one thing. Of course, there's tons of updates as we come closer to 1.0, and the general consensus of players, I think, is that these quality of life updates that are coming much quicker. Especially in the last couple of weeks, we're just seeing lots of those annoying niggling issues that we've had for a long time starting to be fixed. And I think that that's really coming across quite well with the community. And for anyone that plays Tarkov consistently, these things have been a pain in the backside. And of course, I'm sure many of you have your own suggestions that are just as valid as any of these ones that have been fixed already. And so I highly recommend, if you've got any good suggestions, positive suggestions that will improve the game, that you come onto the Tarkov community website and you post them yourselves. I'm going to be submitting a couple that I think are quite valuable and will generally benefit everyone regardless of PvE or PvP. Some things maybe to do with your stashes and being able to assign certain things to certain stash items. So for example, if you assign one of your sick cases as somewhere where your key cards will go, they'll automatically go into said container, and that will be the place where if you just control click something from your inventory, it will go straight into the container. And so we can get back into raids, the actual core gameplay of Tarkov, much quicker. And that's kind of what you want. You want to be playing the actual game, not playing the Tarkov menu simulator, unless, of course, you really enjoy doing that. But it's just to help people who do enjoy playing the gameplay that much more efficient to get back in and do stuff that they want to do. And it also filters out a lot of the stuff where you're having to spend a long time finding out where your keys are, finding out where your certain maps are, and that sort of stuff. So maybe a suggestion to allow you to assign a category to a sick case or something that says like, oh, if I deposit keys, they're going to go into this, or if I deposit my key cards are going to go into this, or if I deposit armor, it's going to go into this thick case or something like that. That would be really, really handy, as opposed to having to constantly drag and drop things and maneuver things around. And it also keeps everything kind of tight as to where you actually want things to go. So, and a thick case with a load of ammo in, that would be perfect. And of course, you can make it as efficient or inefficient as you want. And I think that would be a good suggestion for Tarkov to actually do in the future. Now, we've done some videos as well on the AI within Escape from Tarkov, which have improved substantially with regards to scavs and stuff like that. Kind of the common enemies that you'll fight, so the standard scavs, as well as, your sniper scavs, as well as just generic things. But some of the bosses still need a little bit of a rework with regards to their AI behavior. But that will come over time, I think, as we move towards the 1.0 release, where some of the bugs and stuff, where you're seeing bosses running into a wall and just constantly running, even if you're standing directly next to them, it still happens. But of course, things like that probably take a lot longer for BSG to try and fix, because of the fact that they are much more complex problems likely than, adding in an option to put a paracord into your special slot or something like that. And so, we'll see those develop, I think, over time, as well as, it would be nice to see some of the PMC behavior being improved as well. However, even those have got significantly better in the latest updates, where they do branch out, they do try and move a little bit more, they do try and take cover, but especially on PvE, where you're seeing these PMC AI just sitting down behind a brick wall and stuff that causes, some confusion when you're running through, and they kind of just surprise you. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. I actually kind of find it interesting because, I'm not used to them kind of trying to rat you out and sitting in weird spots. I think it's overall it's better than what they previously were, where, you engage a PMC AI, for example, and it would just stand in the same location and just wait for you to peek, and then it would either head tap you or, you take it out quite easily, which is the majority of the times. And so, now that they actually do move, they maneuver around, I think it is a positive change. But sometimes those grenades, sometimes some of the things that they do are a little bit buggy, and so overall experience of them could be improved slightly, and I think that will come. It just comes from feedback from you guys as to what you would change. If you found any particular bugs, once again, use the website. It's going to be the best way we can communicate with the devs. And of course, the in-game kind of surveys that we do have, where you can feedback your kind of experience of the game. It's the best way that the overall player base get what they want, and not just a few individuals. And so one of the biggest things and fears that I have is the PvE economy. That is probably one of the biggest things at the moment with regards to just being quite unbalanced. And As the amount of money that you get on PvE, for example, increases, it's only ever going to increase. People's accounts are going to get stacked and stacked and stacked. Yes, I'm talking from the experience of someone that's played probably 10 times more PvE than some of the other players in the game, hence why I've got 1 billion rubles or just over. But at the same time, as we go through like a year from now, those people who are generic players are going to be all sat at the sort of region that I'm at, or at least with so much money in the game that they're not really ever needing to ever buy anything. And because you don't lose your gear or anything in the raids, you're never having to buy new gear. So something that I bought 6 months ago, such as the Bastion helmets, for example, with the plates on, which actually got removed. I don't have access to the Bastion plates, by the way. I've had these for like 8 months or whatever. I've been able to use them. The actual Bastion plate, this one here that you can put on them, which was only available for a limited time when PvE was released until they removed the option to buy them off the flea. You can see I've got a ton of these still left, and it's mainly if the times I've lost them is literally only if I've not logged back into the game to pick up my insurance, which has happened a couple times. But we've still got 3 of these that we can use, as well as the fact that I've got a CQCM. Yeah, I haven't finished the Lightkeeper quest that I'm currently on to unlock these. And of course, you're not going to need to buy them again once you bought them once. And so your money is never going down. It's only ever really going up other than insurance costs. And so in terms of economy balance, I'd love for them to start implementing something to drain people's accounts of the rubles should they wish to use their rubles. Because at the minute, there's nothing getting rid of it. PvP has wipes for a reason. It's to keep the economy going and to have a constant, a rebalancing of the economy. And although Tarkov on the PvE side is supposed to be long term, so you're always playing, I think the introduction of prestiging and stuff like that will really combat this problem, because it will wipe away that money and give you an incentive to go out and loot and to get those stuff all again should you wish to do it. I'm not trying to say that you need to enforce it as a you have to do this, but more so as a you can do it if you want to, and that's what I'd like to see. Whether or not that is the general consensus of people, I see a lot of comments saying they should never wipe blah blah blah, which is fine. They didn't say that they were, well, they did say that they were never going to wipe PvE, but adding in a feature to drain those rubles or be able to spend them once you've, got to that point where you don't need any more would be a nice feature. And yeah, maybe that's something we get down the line. I know that the PvE prestige system is apparently going to come online at some point, so I will definitely be waiting for that one and resetting the main account as soon as it comes out, so I can start pushing forward with the prestiges and get as far as we can with that. And of course, give me an incentive to go ahead and start playing even more to play the game. And so that's something I'd love to see for PvE in the near future. And maybe even if it's in a couple months' time, that would be amazing. Just so we can, have something to do on PvE once you've kind of got to that stage where your tasks don't either A, get you anywhere, or B, the rewards from the tasks, for example, are just not really that useful towards your account. Like, they're not getting you anything new. You've already got some of the weapons that get unlocked, so you don't need to get them. And so, yeah, I've got a load of tasks, but they don't lead anywhere and they don't give me anything to upgrade, really, other than a couple of them. And so that sort of stuff would be really nice. But hopefully that's given you a little rundown as to what's coming, what's likely to come, how the overall consensus is. I think in terms of PvE, it's probably the best it's been. The overall feel of the gameplay is much, much better to when it was first released. The loot pools are, somewhat challenging to be able to earn money now. It's a little bit harder than it was previously, which means you do actually have to get some money occasionally, especially if you're a newer player. If you're an older player that took advantage of some of the OP ways of making tons of money, like the rusted room key runs that you could do years ago, well, not years ago, but like a year ago or something like that. Then yeah, that was really, really nice. I think it was probably like 6 months ago, something like that, where the rusted room key was spawning really frequently and you could go and loot it up. And you would get tons of marked keys that you could sell for 20-30 million each. Then yeah, you were making hundreds of millions of rubles really easily. But in terms of now, yeah, it's much harder, much more infrequent to get that sort of thing, and so it would be nice to be able to drain some of those rubles from the initial stage of where people are farming those out, and it will hopefully even out the requirement for people to buy some of the hideout requirements. Unfortunately, obviously they did the update which requires you to now find stuff in raid, which is both good for, I guess, people who want to play a more hardcore experience, but in terms of the economy, I think it's made it worse. There's a lot of items that are just not worth anything, or you just sell directly to traders, and so I'm not entirely sure I'm 100% on that was a good update to the game, but maybe having a system where you could pick an account that is that sort of account where you have to find everything in the raid would be nicer, and so you get the option of either one, and that way the economy is much better. But also the fact that you can choose to do the other option, which is what's currently in the game, yourself as well, where maybe you don't have access to the flea, so you can only find stuff in raid, would also be nice. So like a hardcore account that you could pick your account to be, and then having your standard account as well alongside. If you wanted 2 accounts, having an option to have multiple, that would be amazing. But overall, really happy with how the PvE experience is going. Of course, on PvP, there's some things to be worked out with regards to the economy and some of the challenges, XP systems and stuff like that, that definitely need a little rework, especially as we move towards 1.0, because some of these skills that you've got are just impossible unless you play, unless you basically stream for 10 hours a day playing Tarkov to be able to get yourself leveled up, or you're simply having to do things that are just not fun, like for example running into barbed wire to level up your vitality or what have you, by causing yourself to get bleeds, or taking off your leg by jumping off of things and stuff like that. That isn't really the game. You shouldn't really have to spam out that to get anywhere close to the max level of those. So yeah, definitely a rework of some of these skills, but I'm sure that will come as we move once again towards the 1.0 update of Tarkov. So hopefully not too far around the corner. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on all of the stuff that we've mentioned so far. If you've got anything to add, or maybe you completely disagree with me on some things, that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying that my experience is better than yours. I'm just simply trying to create the conversation about the game so it can be the best for everyone involved. But with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.